Okay, I have 4:15. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Bob Freeman, yep. Rick Morgan's here. Sam Martin has notified us she would not make tonight's meeting due to a work commitment. Public input. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Carol Lyons. This is my mother, Peggy Goldthwaite. My brother's Keith Goldthwaite, and my grandparents are Evelyn and Louis Dorr. I'm a local and a taxpayer. About 1960, as you know, some property was bought up on Ossipee Lake by Tunney and Betty Currier. Together, Betty Currier, my grandparents, and some other people put a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears into the property that we now know as Camp Secaucus. And my question is, why was the donation of the town beach turned down before brought to the full board?
You're going to have to clarify a little bit about what you're talking about.
There was a small group of, a small gathering at Betty, not Currier, I mean Diane's house with one of the selectmen here, and not the rest of them.
Correct.
In that small meeting, she was told that she offered to a donation of the part of the camp there, the part that has the mobile home, that's kind of to the right.
Correct.
And I don't have a name, but one of the, whoever the selectman was that
That's
was,
me.
Okay, so at that point, you turned that down without coming back to speak to your other members of the selectman board. And I wondered why that was done.
You made a bunch of presumptions, and I'm going to answer this question again because it was raised last week.
Okay.
I was appointed by the board and authorized by the board to negotiate with the Curriers. Okay? The town administrator was there with me. We had come to an agreement with, not the Curriers, the Sheehan, to purchase Camp Secaucus in its entirety. Subsequent to that agreement, based on conduct by some of the campers down there, and I don't know that it was you, and I'm certainly not presuming that it was, but the Sheehans were very upset at the way that they had been treated and tried to then renegotiate so that a portion of the campground would be sold to the campers and that a 90-foot section of beach they offered to donate to the town. We did not look that gift horse in the mouth. I specifically said to her how generous I thought that was. There were some problems in the sense that it was a 90-foot section of beach that had almost zero parking, has zero parking, and any parking that could be established would be separated from that 90-foot section of beach by wetland. As you being down there are very familiar with the piece of property that we're talking about. What I asked and what ultimately happened was for the Sheehans to honor the agreement they had already made with us, which they then did. That was not done in our presence. That was done outside of our presence with their attorney. So any intimation that there was somehow coercion or otherwise is completely and totally unfounded.
I understand that that at the point of that meeting, that I'm going to say you because you said you're the one there. You and Ellen were the only two there, so I'm going to say you. You told Diane and Bill that if they did not sign that, because at that point you only had a verbal agreement, and we all know that unless an agreement is signed, sealed, and delivered, it's not an agreement, that you threatened to sue Diane and Bill.
That is absolutely, categorically not true.
Okay.
And you were not at the meeting.
Absolutely was not, no.
And I would also argue with the premise that you made a moment ago. If there was an agreement made, let me finish. We agreed to everything that was asked, and we shook hands on that. So it's not just a verbal agreement, and you may, again, maybe you have some legal experience that I don't know about, but it is, and in fact was, an enforceable agreement.
I don't.
There was no, let me finish, there were no threats made, and again, they signed that purchase and sales agreement with their attorney completely separate and devoid of us.
Their attorney told them that if you decided to sue, that it would take them down the road at least 3 years. And as we all know, Diane and Bill aren't in the best health, and the reason they're selling the campground is because they want to spend their last years in Florida, not in a courtroom.
You're making assertions about what their attorney told them that I had absolutely zero knowledge of and was
You're
not
right.
involved in that conversation, so
Okay.
I don't know that I can answer that.
Mr. Freeman, is that you?
Yes.
When did you learn about the offer of the donation of the beach?
The day I went down, well, last Wednesday, what did we just get on there?
13th, I think. Yeah,
Is it
September
Wednesday?
13th on Wednesday.
Yeah, on the 13th on a Wednesday.
And even on that day, I believe Diane was still saying at that point that she really didn't want to do this the way it is set up to go. Is that correct?
No, I believe that what Diane did say is I offered, this section over here to the town. But she also realized that, where are the people going to go? How are they going to get to it? Where are they going to park?
That property is worth $240,000.
Yeah, it might be worth $240,000, but what good is it for the town to, even get a free piece of beach when there's no access to it? I'm sure this extends.
Yes.
Are you a year-round resident here?
No, I am not.
So can I ask you then another question? I presume you come up every weekend to enjoy our...
I live here from from April to October.
Okay, so you come up every summer and enjoy Ossipee Lake. One of the most beautiful lakes in the state of New Hampshire, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Do you agree that the people who are not fortunate enough to have a property on the lake ought to have access to that lake?
I do agree that people that don't have the $3,000 to pay for their campsite should have access to that lake. But they also have Duncan Lake, which isn't maintained.
And you could camp on Duncan Lake.
And also, do I have an understanding, and I definitely could be wrong on this one, that there was a beach for the Ossipee residents that the town wasn't able to put, they weren't able to afford to put a walkway into it?
No.
That's not true.
You got that completely backwards.
Okay.
We wanted to put a walkway into a different beach and was shut down because it crossed land which is being protected for environmental reasons.
Okay.
But I simply ask you this, and I'm not trying to be argumentative. I understand wholeheartedly why the folks in Camp Secaucus don't want this. I get it, wholeheartedly.
My grandfather
But let me,
died there.
yeah, can I finish? What I'm trying to weigh is your feelings, quite frankly, versus 4,500 other Ossipee residents who don't have the place to go down and put a foot in Ossipee Lake.
Okay.
Now, I asked you because I presume that you're a nice lady, and you agreed that it would be nice for them to have access. And I agree, and I understand why you say not your spot. The problem that we have is if you look around that lake, there is nothing left. You, in fairness, and those seasonal campers have several options. There are several other seasonal campgrounds that service Ossipee Lake. There is not another location available for the town of Ossipee to establish a town beach. We would literally have to go into the middle of a neighborhood and try to buy 2 or 3 houses and tear them down. It will never happen. What this board has done, and all this board has done, is secured an opportunity for the taxpayers of this town to decide if they really want a beach. If they do, they'll pass it. If they don't, they won't.
And so that you feel that the $1.2 million the taxpayers are going to be able to afford, being that you can't even afford to put sidewalks in that are needed more, you think that the taxpayers are going to want to pay that more, and that their taxes, that some of them already struggle to pay, that it's worth it to them?
Do you get an Ossipee tax bill?
Yes.
Have you looked at it?
Yes.
Have you looked at it for the last 4 years in a row?
I haven't had it that long.
Okay. The last 4 years in a row, the town of Ossipee tax rate has gone down every single year. Every year.
That's great.
Okay? last year, we actually built a highway garage. It spent $464,000. We paid cash for it, and the tax rate still went down. We have been notified that there was an increase in value between 2016 and 2017 of over $7 million in town value. This becomes very simple mathematics. All you do is you divide, in this case, the payment into the overall value. Do you have any idea what the impact of that $1 million bond will be on your tax rate?
I don't have any
Okay,
idea.
I can tell you. It's going to be approximately 11 cents per thousand.
What about
Let me
the people?
finish. Let me finish. 11 cents per thousand. So that would mean about $11 for somebody who owns a $100,000 home, or about the price of a cheese pizza. If you look at what we've done over the years, we're waiting actually for our newest tax rate to come in, and we think it's going to be almost 15 cents lower this year than it was last year. So even taking into effect buying the land, even taking into effect the loss of revenue from the $26,000 that's currently paid, even taking that into effect, you're not talking 15 cents a thousand, which won't even put us back to what we were paying 5 years ago. So the premise that the town can't afford it is categorically 100% not true. If somebody doesn't want the beach, by all means vote no. But the premise that the taxes are going to go up, there are some people on online messages who are saying that the town tax rate is going to go up by $3 and $4 and $5 per thousand. They are either ignorant of the facts or they are lying in order to sustain their hidden agenda or their agenda on the beach. We have been very, very, very fiscal responsible, this board. We have cut the town tax rate for 4 years in a row while continuing to do major projects. That highway garage I mentioned, yes, we had saved up over a series of years, but we also took $200,000 out of that year's budget to complete the project and still were able to lower the town tax rate by 4 cents a thousand. We've done our homework. The town can easily afford this if they choose to. If you look at the town of Ossepee's finances, one of the other things that was put out by somebody, again, opposed to the beach, is that the town is somehow in some dire financial straits. That could not be farther from the truth. There are towns around us who are swimming in debt. You know how much debt the town of Ossipee is carrying? Zero. Not 1 penny. We just completed this last year, our last red listed bridge. There are towns around us that are closing their roads because they have bridges in such disrepair. The town of Ossipee financially is on as solid a ground as can be. We were just notified that our surplus, the unassigned fund balance, is at $1.147 million. That's how much more we have than what we need for emergencies and etc. The town of Ossipee financially is extremely sound. And again, for those opposed, and I understand why some are, make it about something truthful. But about the issue of whether or not this town can afford it, or whether or not this town is already in debt, those are simple things that anybody who wants to pick up a town report can look at. The town of Ossipee financially is in phenomenal shape.
Okay, and I'm really glad that the town of Ossipee is in really good shape, but just because the town is, doesn't mean that the people that live here are. I still have, my mother grew up here. I still have lots and lots of relatives here that struggle every year to pay their taxes. And give them, you know, so what if to you, if it's just a pizza, but to them it may be something more than that, you know?
No doubt whatsoever. What I'm saying to you is anybody who thinks that we cannot afford it, who is a voter, vote no. That's their choice. But to say to people that their taxes are going to go through the roof because of this beach is absolutely, categorically not true. And anybody that says so is either ignorant of the facts or lying. I can prove our numbers with simple, straightforward math. They're public record. Anybody that wants to can walk in and get a copy of the town report that shows exactly what our expenses are, exactly what our surplus is, and on and on. They're simple facts. And I just would like people, if they're going to spread stuff, at least be honest about why it is you're opposed, and I understand why you are. Yes, sir.
Make sure you straighten her out about the sidewalk.
The sidewalks is the second issue, and I should have mentioned it briefly, and I don't want, I mean, listen, I was, I was actually sent a message that we ought to use the money to fight the opioid crisis instead of doing the beach, which I don't know that I want to go down that rabbit hole either. The issue with the sidewalks, which is an area out here, we've been trying for several years to get sidewalks in, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with whether or not we can afford them. It's the fact that this is a state highway, and it's the state that controls it, and it's the state that has to expand their right-of-way in order to have that happen. So it has nothing whatsoever with us being able to not afford sidewalks.
We have enough money in the account to do it.
I understand that.
Yes. I've lived here all my life too. And I can remember when the town had a beach. It was Hudson Shore, which is just a short ways from where you were. The town made a terrible mistake back then. And the youth and the young people in this town suffered for it. They had an opportunity to have that for just basically taxes and let the people live there. But we already had it, so the attitude was, we don't have to worry about it. So when they moved away, we lost our beach. What's happened here couldn't be better for the town. It's a no, you can't lose on this. The town cannot lose on this. That we could be a complete failure at taking that beach over in that area, at running it. Complete failure. But the town could turn around and probably sell it for $2.5 million. It's an investment. If nothing else, it's an investment for the town. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll be managed right. I think people who are there now will probably be able to stay there. I haven't seen anything yet that says that's going to change.
Well, was a big article that said 45 campsites and 30 will be left, so that's 15. 15 campsites eliminated in Carroll County.
That is true. I'll tell you right now, that is extremely likely. But that is extremely likely, because to be honest with you, if you look at the property, and I mean you're certainly down there, the portion of property which is on the lake side of Hodgson Shore Road would most likely have to have all of those campers removed, because otherwise you cannot establish the necessary parking for the beach. So that's not a mystery. And this whole thing with campers staying or not staying, there have been all kinds of suggestions. Those figures I gave you about the tax rate going up assumes zero revenue. If the townspeople, and they may well, decide, you know something, we want the beach, we don't want the campground at all. They may decide that. And I've had, in fact, several people say to me that that's the route they choose to go, that they don't think the town should be in the campground business. Those tax increases that I told you about are assuming zero revenue, which means if they all are gone, that's what it's going to cost an Ossipee taxpayer. There are revenues available down there should the townspeople choose to go that route. By keeping 30 sites, there's boat slips down there which have been rented right along at $1,800 a year, I think now. There is the potential for revenue to offset that bond. But even with zero revenue, if the townspeople said, no, sir, get rid of the docks, get rid of all the campers, we simply want that beach. 10 to 13 cents per thousand. It's a crazy small amount of money. And that's the way we look at it. And again, we are presenting the townspeople with an opportunity. If the people that have spoken to me all my life really want a beach, this is most likely, and Denny, you've been here your whole life as well, I don't know of another potential site for a town beach on Ossipee Lake. I don't know of one. If you know of one, please tell me, because I don't know of one.
Well, I know that Ossipee has other beaches and other swimming areas that's not on the lake named after the town. I do know that.
We have one on Duncan Lake.
You have Duncan Lake, you have Dan Hole Pond, and then there's another one, up here a bit.
We don't have a public beach on Dan Hole Pond.
But the people swim there.
But we do not have a public beach. We don't have a public beach.
But it's not a beach, but they swim there. And also, one of the people that does live at the campground now, has a camper out back now, brought to my attention that he has a boat that he takes to Ward's boat place to have it worked on, and he wanted his boat to be water. Now, I don't know much about boats, I don't have one, but he wanted it to be water tested, and the man at Ward's boats place said that they had no place to water test it this year, but next year they would. Isn't that a conflict of interest for one of you that works there?
I'll try to answer this real quick. That is so ridiculous it almost doesn't bear answering. I am a boat salesman at Ward's Boat Shop. I guarantee you that I have absolutely, let me finish. You brought it up. Let me at least answer, because that's a preposterous charge. Let me finish.
You said that.
Well, you just repeated it.
I
So,
said someone from Ward's.
which you just repeated what is very, very an inappropriate attack on my character. Because I can tell you that I am a boat salesman at Ward's Boat Shop, which has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with what I do at Town Hall and on that beach. In fact, there isn't even a presumption by any one of us that there will ever be a boat ramp or anything else on that town beach, which would in any way benefit or anything towards Boat Shop. So that is a preposterous charge, and whoever said it to you ought to be ashamed of themselves. And I'll be very blunt, I think it was unfair of you to repeat such a thing, because that is impugning somebody's character that doesn't deserve it.
I think it's my turn to talk now.
Well, actually, I'm the chairman, so I determine when it's anybody's turn to talk.
I've been patient.
Very well.
I did not say it was you. I did not mean to make it sound like it was you, because this man did not name names.
You brought it up as being a member of this board who works at Ward's Boat Shop.
I said that someone, and wouldn't it, if you work there, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest, whether you said it or not?
First of all, again, that is a preposterous argument. It has what my employment with Ward's Boat Shop and whether or not the town gets a beach are so not even connected, it's not even funny. So for any suggestion that there would be some sort of a conflict of interest is again ridiculous.
You know where that's coming from? That's coming from a bunch of pissed off campers down there that just are upset because they may have to leave. And unfortunately, that's what might have to happen. But, you know, that's where all these stories come from, because that's where I'm getting it from.
Then,
You said water test?
Like you would, the boat wouldn't run it would run at Ward's, but when they put it in the water, it wouldn't run. They wanted the people, and
They can
again,
test
I
motors right
am
there.
not a boat person.
They don't have to be in the water test motors.
Well, that's what
They
they
do it
wanted
right there in the
done,
bucket. They have a huge bucket here.
and that's what they wanted done.
I think that's foolishness.
that's just a preposterous Anybody else have any public input before we start into the red folder? Okay. The first thing we have is the minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, September 18th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have the minutes of the Selectmen's workshop, which occurred on Monday, September 18th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 9/23 was $41,330.84. Accounts payable for week ending 9/16 were $99,714.01, for a total disbursed of $141,044.85. Additionally, we had accounts payable for the Water and Sewer Department in the amount of $5,658.86. I make a motion we sign.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These are nothing more than the batch totals. We review each and every bill as it comes in. Actually, it's a three-part process. The department head gets the bill initially, they initial it, approve it, acknowledge that they received the material, then it goes to finance, and then it comes to us. We have a notice of intent to cut wood. This is on map 279, lot 20, Browns Ridge Road. It's 12 acres to be cut. It's Ossipee Aggregates land. Harold Cook is a logger. The taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a notice of intent to cut. This is up map 259, lot 19. Excuse me, again, Ossipee Aggregates. Harold Cook is the logger. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Again, notice of intent to cut. This is map 274, lot 12, and lot 9, and map 266, lot 7. Also owned by Ossipee Aggregates. Harold Cook's the logger. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the minutes of the Ossipee Economic Development Council, which are here in the folder if anybody would like to see them. We have notices from our zoning board, notice of decision. The first one is on case number 17-6. The variance was denied. Case 17-8, variance was granted. And then case number 17-7, a variance was granted. Those are here in the folder if anybody would like to look at them. We have the Highway Department work log for 9/10 through 9/23. They're here if anybody would like to look at them. We have a memo from Brad Harriman regarding the replacement of the gymnasium floor. He and Steve, Brad, go ahead. You met with Heckman's Flooring.
Yes, Steve and I met with Jim from Heckman's Flooring last week. And he brought up some issues with so in some areas here, he feels that the plywood underneath, the underlayment that's underneath the tile here now is delaminating in spots, which is a lot of the cracking noise you hear when you walk around the gym. And he really believes that if you just laid another 1/4 inch over the top of this and put the tiles on that, you would get the same problem coming right back up through the floor in a short time. He put together a proposal, sent over to us to remove all these existing tiles and the 1/2 inch plywood that's underneath here and start out fresh with 1/2 inch, new layer of 1/2 inch underlayment with a new tile on it, attached right to the oak floor that's underneath here.
Well, I was just going to say, it makes sense, other than how we opening up Pandora's box. My concern is that if you take up the tile, take up the first layer of plywood, what happens when we find something that, you know, is this going to...
I can't answer that, I don't know.
They're gonna be like the covered bridge?
No.
Steve can talk this too a little bit, but we kind of went over it. We talked after we met with Heckman Flooring there about, you know, the different options, different approaches to it. And we felt that for, you know, it's a fairly short amount of money there to do all this extra work here on it and stuff that was, yeah.
Steve, is there any access to underneath this floor?
There is an access. It looked pretty clean the last time I was under there.
Okay.
But it's all,
It's going to be very hard to tell until you have the floor up. I don't think there's going to be any problems. It's a good hardwood floor, oak.
Okay.
I can't imagine.
Is all kind of the plywood that's under
I
this?
do believe this was the gym floor, yes.
Okay.
and now that, you know, when we insulated the building here, we did put spray foam underneath the entire system there, so we can't really get at it now without drilling holes up through it or something. But he felt that you could tell in certain spots if he felt like water had gotten into maybe some of the cracks in the tile here, and then it was starting to delaminate and stuff like that. And, you know, it seems to be, but more so down in that side there, Steve. When you guys,
over there, yes.
yeah. Whether it was from, you know, water getting in it during the you know, when they come in and strip the wax off. I mean, there does end up a lot of water on the floor at that time. I've been watching the companies do that a few years ago and stuff. You know, so over the period of years of that happening, if that could have been what did it, but. And then
It would result in an increase in the price of the property by $3,750. And that would include removal of the old tile and of the old 1/2 inch plywood and install new 1/2 inch plywood on the entire floor.
Right.
Makes sense to me. I just hope we aren't opening Pandora's box is all. So,
I think you are. But you can't find, you won't know until you open it up.
we won't, but I mean, listen, you're a contractor, chime in here. I mean, you don't want to put new tile on top of, if on top of something, if
I
something's.
think that's cheap. That's a cheap price for what they're talking about doing. I'm with you on, you don't know what the time. So, yeah.
And I also had a conversation with them, they called up today, wanted to know if we already had the meeting or not, and I said, no, we're gonna be meeting, this afternoon. Because they would be ready to schedule in, I hadn't even had a chance to talk to Steve about this yet, they could schedule in coming in here next week and starting the project, and having this done within a 2 to 3 week time frame. So, you're really talking about having this done by mid-October, so it'll be completely done with this. And
I make a motion that we authorize the additional $3,750 to replace the underlayment.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, please go, and the sooner the better. Get them started. We have a letter. No, we don't. We have a packet of stuff from the Lakes Region Planning Commission, and this is where they have sent out the request for proposals to all PUC licensed suppliers on electricity. It's all part of the electrical co-op that they're trying to organize. It's here in the file if anybody would like to look at it. We have a letter from the Ossipee Lake Alliance regarding the proposed special town meeting. Dear board members, it would be welcome news to the lake's non-resident Ossipee taxpayers if the select board holds the public hearings on the purchase of Camp Secaucus on weekends rather than on weeknights. There's a lot of interest in knowing more about the town's plans, and many non-resident Ossipee taxpayers are seasonal residents who may not be able to attend the hearings if they are held during the week. We hope you will consider this small act of inclusiveness in regard to this important town decision. Respectfully, David Smith and Susan Marks. I don't know when the public hearings will be held. The fact of the matter is, thanks to these meetings all being recorded, and Ed, I presume that you'll be recording that public hearing when it occurs. Can I assume that? Yeah. Okay. There will be the opportunity for anybody and everybody, whether they are here for the public hearing or to watch it online through GovernmentOversite.com. Other than that, I don't have much to say to that. I hope, to be honest with you, if Ossipee Lake Alliance truly is about promoting the recreational opportunities on Ossipee Lake, it'll be interesting to see if they come out in support of the beach. We'll see. We have a invitation from the Greater Ossipee Chamber of Commerce for their annual meeting and dinner, which is here. I don't necessarily plan on attending, Ellen. We want to. It's here in the folder. We have a letter from Charter Communications, and it's on their changing programming, which is here for anybody to look at if they'd like. We received an email from Bob Gillette, he's our rep down at the Lakes Region Planning, suggesting or pointing out the new road safety audit applications, and suggest that we might want to know about it for 171 and 28. That safety audit has already been done on that whole intersection, so there's no need for us to do anything more with that. We have copies which were provided to the town on 2 different wetlands applications which have been filed. And they're here for anybody to look at. The town, we voted, again, this is going back onto the issue of the beach, we voted now more than 10 days ago of our intent to petition Superior Court. That had to be posted and advertised for 10 days, which has been done. And this is, in fact, the actual petition for Carroll County Superior Court to allow the town of Ossipee to have a special town meeting for the purposes of considering the beach. And I make a motion we sign it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We We have a payroll reimbursement request. This is from the Water and Sewer Department in the amount of $3,484.02. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And we have a water and sewer warrant instructing the tax collector to collect $40. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hazardous and dilapidated buildings.
That is me.
Yes, ma'am.
As the health officer for the town, I inspected a property last week, and it is owner occupied. It's not something that I can deal with under my authority as the health officer for the town. I do think that it needs to be dealt with under RSA 155B, hazardous and dilapidated structures, so I would like permission to proceed forward with that.
It is, and to kind of fill in the blanks, this is an elderly gentleman in what could be described as a severe hoarding situation. Extremely unhealthy. He has actually been transported out of there, but the property is in such condition, based on photographs that I've seen, that we have to take action to, not only for this gentleman's safety, but for the safety of the neighbors. I'll make a motion that we allow Ellen to pursue remedy through that hazardous and dilapidated building statute with the town attorney.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that all you need?
There'll be more forthcoming.
28-171, anything new?
No, I haven't heard anything new on that, so,
Okay.
you know.
Morse Pit. You had a chance to talk with the town attorney? Okay. Okay. On the Morse Pit reclamation, the planning board did vote the other night to turn that back over to the town attorney, Wixaga, to pursue remedy in Superior Court and have them enforce the order that already ordered them to reclaim the pit. Done the petition to Superior Court. Covered Bridge, Brett, anything new?
After last week there, we did receive, I think I'd mentioned to you folks, we had one abutter up there hadn't signed the letter of agreement allowing the permitting of the wetlands application for the work they want to do inside the river there. It wasn't an easement or anything, it was just because they're an abutter to the river. He has since signed it. It's been forwarded down to the engineers to be included in the packet to wetlands, DES down in Concord there. So that part of that application has now been sent in, along with everything else has been sent into DOT already and stuff there. So once they all get all those approvals, side approvals along with that with the DOT, then it'll be ready to, you know, come back for the public hearing and go out to bid and stuff there. So they're expecting now it's probably not going to be bid till this winter with the whole project being done next year. I doubt it very much, no. Yep. Yep. But it is moving ahead. That, you know, these little pieces are getting put together and you know, and getting finished. So. Yep.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Brad, for us?
I just also let you know, as Bo couldn't be here tonight, this meeting, but as you know, we're aware. This last week we did start the water line replacement project up on Ossipee Mountain Road. The section of it underneath the pond has been all installed. Then as you see, the pond is being filled back up again now. They're installing the temporary hookups to the houses up through there today and probably the next day or so. Then they'll start installing a new main up the side of Ossipee Mountain Road, you know, for the customers up there. That should be done, I'd say, within a couple of weeks. I think we'll be pretty well wrapped up on that one. We do have October 10th, I think I mentioned to you before, scheduled in for the directional drilling underneath Route 16 to isolate and repair that leak that's under there that was found. And that should kind of wrap up those parts of the projects for the water there. We are starting tomorrow the meter replacement. They're going to start with the larger 2-inch meters. coming into the school, or some of the other ones we have around town here and stuff. They're all been scheduled in, so the next 2 or 3 days that'll be going on. And let's see, the only other thing, we got the report back from Eastern Pipe Services there on the video work they did on the sewer. We got the report, the discs back and everything, and it's very detailed and be very informative, very good. It's going to be a good tool for us to have. A lot of information on location of where all the Ys and stuff are, and then along the line between all the sewer manholes, and a lot of detail there that we didn't have before. So that's good.
More of that is coming in?
Yes, yep. But we did find, we had the section of Mobile Road that we were able to do. We found 3 spots up there with some leaks in the sewer system were coming in. And they're not in the main line, they're in the service lines going off, where they come off with the T, then they put a 45-degree elbow to go toward the house there. Apparently it looks like they got pushed in too hard, then they cracked the T, the elbow's open. A little more difficult repair to do, through the line, but it can be done. In my conversation with Bo were that, because we still have another section to go up through there, there's a lot of deep, because these are deep too, these are like 18 feet deep up through there. And they've been leaking, for we don't know how long now, probably since they were installed, whenever that was, back it was in the 80s, I think, or something like that, when that system was put in. Then if we waited till next year, finish the survey up through there, if we find more of them, that'd be more advantageous to us to bid it out that way, to have more of them to do rather than come in and do 3 of them. If we ended up with 10 or 15. We're gonna fix that. We're waiting for a price from them right now on that one. Yeah, you saw the flow there. You have to stop by there. Yeah. So that one we're waiting for the price on that. That thing is a straight inline repair, which is fairly easy to do.
Huckins the same way.
Huckins the same way. We got we did some down there too. We're gonna two down there. We're gonna address. So.
And the second free dump day?
Second free dump day is coming up on Saturday, October 7th.
Yep.
We got the banners up down at the transfer station. I think it's on the website. I'll check with Ellen on that, or with Sam if she was here. But we've had a lot of people asking about it over there and
We've
stuff.
been passing out flyers.
Yep. So.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Anything else, Bob, on the new business?
No.
No? No. Second public input. Anybody? Dallas, you're going to join us and not even say anything?
I'm just listening, I'm taking out, I do have one question.
Sure.
And I probably don't even want to ask. So I hear Brad talking about a lot of work here on the water and sewer system. Where does that money come from?
Anything we're doing currently?
Yeah, because I can tell we don't have the money for that. So.
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
There are 2 funds which are currently over there, which are now under the town school road. One was for water, one was for sewer. And in addition, there's money in the budget for system maintenance.
Right.
So the decisions that we've been making, and even the new meters, will come out of those funds, and we've broken them out over a period of time to be able to do that. So
I was just wondering, because I know how much was there,
Yep.
and I know how much that was going to cost. And it's like, okay, the numbers weren't adding up in my head. So
no, we're doing it
I'm just worried about my water bill and stuff like that.
No, and no, we have no intention of raising rates.
Okay.
None. What we're trying to do is take it in bites. The meters need to be replaced badly. And because of the expense, we're breaking that out over 3 years. We'd love to do it in 1 year, we just can't afford to. So we're breaking it out over time. These repairs, again, are gonna come out of that fund and the maintenance budget. It's budget season now, we'll be working on a new one. We have no intention at this point of raising the rates at all.
I know how much they cost. Okay.
Yep.
I know. It doesn't add up.
But a little bit at a time
A little
does.
bit at a time,
And
yeah.
you have to do it over a period of time with the pipe.
I know the work that we had done up there at the pond, we had the money for
Right.
that. We just never did it. We should have done it last year. So.
Just have to do it twice. Anything else? We don't have a need for the tax collector today?
We do not.
Good. There's nothing else? Ed, any updates?
Yeah, there is an update. Came back today from a 3-hour delegation meeting. It's typical. Well, we did two major things. The audits will be done very soon, coming up in the next few weeks, so the audits are going to be completed, so we'll get that report. There's a, there was a motion to table a proposal to do a study on the elderly and planning for the future for the population that's getting older in the area, to be ready for that cost. We tabled it because we want to wind it up into the next budget and not pull it out of this budget.
Okay.
So we weren't against it. It was the timing that was a little bit wrong. Let's see, audit. There was a law enforcement funding grant from the state for drug interdiction.
Under Granite Hammer?
No, it's called Granite Shield, and I was told never use the word Granite Hammer anymore because we're not hammering anyone. That was a quote.
Okay.
So it's Granite Shield. It was not that much funding, but it's primarily for law enforcement, no addiction services whatsoever. What else did they talk about? They went over numbers from the sale of hay. We went over the issue with the New Hampshire Department of Labor that came in and found 500 violations of how the payroll has been handled over, I think it was 2 years. Now 500 seems like a lot, but there's 400 plus employees in the nursing home. So if you have one simple misprint on a form, they can call that a violation, which was discussed today that we may have to have legislation to pull back some of the rules, or the administrative rules that the New Hampshire Department of Labor runs under. Because apparently if you put a signature in a date spot and the date in the signature spot, that's an example of a possible violation. Now, the violation of having minors working 10 to 12 hours was a big one, but it happened like once. It was just, that's just a big violation. But instead of a $48,000 fine, it went down to $600. So that's good. Overall, I think the budget's right on target for the county. I think we're going in a much better direction. I think there's more openness, and overall it was a good meeting, and it's also available for you to watch it.
I'm just kind of curious because it came up in actuality when we were discussing wetlands impact and et cetera down at this proposed town beach site. Were you aware that the county had to pay the state like $40,000 or $50,000 in mitigation fees in order to build the nursing home where the nursing home is?
I was not aware of that.
The taxpayers of Carroll County had to pay the state of New Hampshire in order to be able to build that nursing home where it is.
Well, the New Hampshire DEP has rules. If you're going to disturb or build on wetlands, it has to be mitigated somewhere else. That's the rule.
But you were here. I'm pretty sure that nursing home is in the middle of what was once a field. Yes. We didn't fill in any wet, you know what I mean? I just thought it was interesting when that came up. Seems preposterous.
Yeah, I don't know the background to that. Since I was only here for 7 years, I believe I came on the scene in 2011, and I believe the nursing home had just finished construction.
Just thought it was interesting that they would have paid. This county would have to pay the state in order to be able to build the nursing home. So, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, actually I want to just real briefly, because the lady that brought up some things before kind of caught me a little bit off guard. I had planned on bringing some of these up. So I did mention about the tax rate going down. In 2014, the Ossipee Town tax rate was $663. In 2015, it was $633. In 2016, it was $629. The 4 cents reduction was the year that we built the town garage and lost $60 million in townwide value because of the assessment. We're waiting for the new tax rate to be set. It's gonna be set hopefully this next week or two.
I don't know, we're not even in the queue yet.
We're not in the queue yet? Well, anyway, within the next month,
Hopefully, yes, within
the new
next-
tax rate will in fact be set. Based on our calculations, it's gonna go from 629 to somewhere down around 613. So it is definitely gonna be lower than it was even last year. So when I make the assertions that we can do this and we can afford it, it's not based on emotion, it's not based on bias, it's based on sheer total facts. And what the townspeople decide to do afterwards, as I said, all this board has done is secured them an opportunity. However they vote, they vote. Is there anything else? No?
No.
If not, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I was
Aye.
thinking about it.
You vote?
Yes, aye.
Okay. When there's only two of us, we have to be a little formal.